You are listening to Chai with the CEO, a Random Genius Media original.
So, welcome Ganesh Subramanian to the Random Genius Media platform, which is an ideas to solutions platform. And today we want to welcome you to Chai with the CEO. Hope you're having a good day in Bangalore.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for inviting me on this video cast, and and thanks for pinging me. And I really liked your the brand Random Genius, and I'm a strong believer of random. I just
Awesome.
thought I should catch up definitely.
Awesome. So I'm glad you liked it. I still have trouble explaining it to my family. They find me very random, but I take it as a compliment. So I'm still trying. There's still trying to find the method to the madness. But appreciate the compliment. Before we proceed, I'm going to ask Mr. Voice to do a little intro so that our listeners, our viewers, kind of are aware of a little more about Ganesh Subramanian.
Our guest today is an accomplished executive in the e commerce and retail domains. He has dedicated himself to advancing effectiveness, eliminating waste universally. His extensive experience with global brands revealed a disturbing reality. Around 50% of products are ultimately unwanted by consumers, leading to over $600 billion in annual economic waste and substantial environmental harm. Together with his team, they employ cutting edge technology and a shift in thinking to revolutionize the industry by putting consumer needs and sustainability at the core of their operations. Importantly, their approach addresses the pressing issue of production waste from its inception, a significant yet often overlooked challenge. He is keen to invite you to join this transformative journey. He believes your collaboration is crucial as we all unite to implement impactful, scalable solutions across multiple industries, addressing some of the most pressing challenges of our time. Welcome to Chai with the CEO, Ganesh Subramanian.
Thank you so much for that intro.
Yep. So I hope we did right by you with the intro. And it's always great when a CEO has a well-written LinkedIn synopsis. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Voice. And we can kick off our interview. Firstly, Ganesh, wanted to ask you about your journey in e-commerce and the retail industry. You've had a stellar career, worked with some of the big brands, but tell us in your own words your journey thus far. How has it been?
Yeah. What I'll do, Sheldon, is let me just go backward instead of forward. My last stint was with Myntra. I joined Myntra in 2012. And that was a shift from Walmart, and that time Walmart was the number one company in the world. And Myntra was having a 2,000 square foot office in HSR layout in Bangalore. And a lot of people asked me, are you making a big mistake of your life? Are you sure what you're doing? And they had rationale for asking this because they said, first of all, you're moving to an online company. And second, that company will sell fashion. Fashion is the touch and feel kind of a product. Therefore, will people even buy? So they had their own rationale of asking this. But what I did was I was actually watching the online evolution in the developed markets and particularly China. And China is typically 5 years ahead of India. And it was actually in the evolution space and it was scaling well in China. And that led me to believe that, it's a good bet to take. And I met Mukesh and, of course, he was joined startups from the founder, particularly in the initial stages. And we had a wavelength match, right? And I believed in his dream of making things happen. And together we thought, looking back, I think, it all worked out well and it could have gone otherwise. But even if it has not gone well, and I'm sure I would have been left with a lot of learning. So that's the last move. And just going back, pre-Walmart, I used to be part of Reliance Retail in its 0 to 1 journey. from zero to, if I still remember right, 70 stores of Reliance Trends, right from consumer research up to seeing 70 stores, and that was exciting. Prior to that, I was in the branded space, right? And I was a part of Tommy Hilfiger launch in India, headed their India operations, and part of VF Corporation brands with Arvind. And I've been in supply chain in the initial part of the journey for 10, 15 years. And, very interesting that, dots connected. That's why I believe in random, because dots connected, right? My first job with Coatswiela, an UK company, ex-campus, and that was fiber to thread. My second job was thread to fabric, and next was fabric to garment, and garment to retail, retail offline, retail online. If you really see that, traveled the value chain from fiber to multi-channel retail. And if you ask me, did I ever plan this way? Absolutely no. Yeah, my real planning happened maybe after 10, 15 years of my career, where I started to choose. The rest of it all, somebody liked you, somebody called you, they believed in you, etc. But that's why, you looking back, it all looks well threaded, but part of it, many of it wasn't planned at all.
True. Somebody said that. Somebody said we write resumes like as if we planned everything out, like in a very sequential manner. But actually, it is really random, right? I mean, you, as Steve Jobs says, you can't join the dots looking forward. You can only join the dots looking backwards. But very impressive. Congratulations on your journey. I'm getting goosebumps listening to it. But and that's the purpose of this show, right? To understand a little more about our leaders, the captains of the industry. It is not so much to talk about business. We're not going to talk shop today. We're going to understand the personality behind Ganesh, the lesser known facts. Maybe even your employees don't know. So feel free to share. So Ganesh, if I were to ask you, what's your business mantra? Or for you, business Myntra, right? So what's your business mantra?
Yeah, see, for me, I think, a business has to have a soul, right? I never believed in just making money. It's about having purpose. Right now, having a core purpose on which you build, I think you will last for long. Therefore, I always joined companies where at least my purpose and the company's purpose got aligned. It's very important, because there was a time where I realized that my passion for consumer is a lot more than my passion for manufacturing. For example, early
Mhm.
part of my career, I said, I want to move forward. I don't want to get stuck in manufacturing, because all the action is with the consumer. So what pulled me towards retail from the back end was purely that. Then onwards, it's always forward looking into the consumer. But at some point realized, after, you won't believe, right? After 20 odd years in the industry, I realized that I personally wasted so much, right? I used to look at them as numbers, saying that, what's your full price sell through? In this industry, there's a metric called full price sell through, which is to say you produce 100 products and how many of them actually sold at full price,
Correct.
right? And that number, always hovered around the 50% mark. Around the 50% mark. Very rare. There are some companies running at 70%, but that's an exception, I would call it. If you look at this number, somebody will say 47, this year 52, next year 49, 54, like that. Right now, what that meant was that, half of what I personally took decisions on went as waste,
Waste.
right? Went as waste, and waste could be both ways, right? Economical and environmental. That hit me very late, I would say. Uh, that was the time I also looked at, just to give you perspective, that my better half at home, she is all the time very, waste conscious, right? One day I reflected saying that, she's so much, of course, she's a professional, plus, of course, managing home on the other side. She doesn't waste anything, right? Now, across various areas, and I said that even a bit of this, if I just take back home in my professional life, a lot could be done, right? That was my tipping point, and say, how do we minimize this?
Yeah.
And the tipping point was all about when I was in Myntra, where I could see technology and business coming together. I said, maybe 10 years back, 15 years back, we didn't have all of this technology. For using all of this technology, can we bring the waste down? And that led me to start Stylumia. And Stylumia also as a business, just to go back to your question, we are rooted in the purpose of, how do we minimize waste, right? And everything we do is on top of that. And a lot of people ask me, right, if you don't do this business, if the business doesn't do well, what will you do? Right? A lot of people keep asking you, if not this, what else? I said, I like what I'm doing, therefore I will continue to do something or the other in this direction. So coming back, I think for me, purpose is more important than growth or top line, etc., etc. And we'll talk about growth in a bit.
Yeah, so you've told us your business mantra. Give us an example where it served you well.
Yeah, see, for example, I think startup journey may be more relevant. Now startup is never a straight line, as we all heard, right? There will be times where things are very good, and there will be times that you completely go down. Um, for us, whether it is COVID or pre-COVID, there are stages where the retail industry was suffering. All their stores were shut down, right? Therefore, they were not making money, and retail is our customer. So these are times that you have to be super clear that why you exist. You could also go back and say customers are struggling, therefore somebody will not be able to pay, right? They were struggling to pay their employees, right? And if you're very clear that you are here helping businesses, you stay put with them, right?
Mm.
Help companies when they are in struggle because your mission is very clear. And we do know a lot of companies wound up during that period where revenues were struggling. And fortunately for us, technology was also helping people to get better during that period. But I think having a solid purpose will help you cross all the speed bumps.
Got it. Got it. Um, Tell us a little bit about your money mantra, right? Is it also to be frugal? Obviously, coming from your psyche, what is your money mantra? How do the Subramanians manage money, if I may?
Yeah, I'll also give you my personal side, right? I used to be a
Sure.
gadget guy.
Okay.
I
Okay.
used, for example, when BlackBerry launched, right? I was the first person or first few people in Bangalore to have a BlackBerry,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
Those days, right? In office, so I always believed in, technology helping me do things better,
Yeah.
right? Irrespective of which role I have been. And therefore, I used to splurge on gadgets. Yeah, so that's the personal side of me. And over a period of time, and I think I'm going into minimalism, but I think that reflection happened. I do think right now before buying something is really needed, right?
Yes.
So I have gone through that phase. It's not that, I've been like this all the time. So in my early days, I used to splurge and particularly on gadgets, right? And people used to ask me, right, if you want to know what is the latest, go to Ganesh's desk, right? That kind of stuff. And that used to be me. And otherwise, I really believe that, I'm also an experimenter, right?
Okay.
Therefore, I do experiment multiple times, right? For example, let's say I do spend money on experimenting anything, whether it is applying new technology to try something. Therefore, I'll try five and drop four and carry that one thing forward. But if somebody looks at it, it looks like splurging, but I think it takes you forward. So I continue to do that even now, even if there is a constraint, I would never stop experimentation. That's one part of me. And definitely not waste money, right? So that's, yeah, therefore, for frugality from that perspective exists.
Got it. Got it. Tell us a little bit about your health mantra because you look extremely fit. You travel a lot. So, what's the health mantra?
Uh, Strong believer of, I would say, fitness. Uh, I've been, I spent well ahead of time. I would say that, this is one area I invested. Uh, I've been, at some point, I realized that as human, we're not very disciplined, right? And one is intent, think and do is, I can learn a lot of books, but suddenly, morning wake up and going to the gym is always an issue. So I realized at some point that I need to have somebody who will make me accountable. For two things I did. One is I invested in a coach 15 years back. In fact, that coach remains with me even today.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Oh, it's a long-term association with a fitness coach. And second, I did, which I helped. Of course, these are all after multiple experimentation. I did it myself. I failed. I wanted to do 6 days in a week, but I will do 2, 3 days and I will not go. but that has really helped. And the other one is, me and my wife, actually my better half, we go to the gym together,
Mm-hmm.
right? For that's a routine. Therefore, I pull her and she pulls me. The fitness coach pulls us. Therefore, it's all three of us together make that fitness routine happen. The other one is started getting interest in. There was a time I was interested in running, and I used to go for marathon and 10K and all of that. Flash card and say I've completed, finished. That was fun part of my me at some point of time, but at some point I realized that I don't want to be doing things once a year, just run one 10K and flash, etc. But I started making it part of. I stopped going for all these annual events, but doing it almost 6 days in a week. That has become part of us. Mostly we do it, and riding is another, cycle, right? Therefore, I ride cycle, and this is another area, of course, like gadget. I invested in a cycle which is lightweight because I wanted to ensure that the cycle attracts me, right?
Right.
Yeah, I ride cycle, at most whenever there is no gym, I'm on the road. And I do go to office if the weather permits, mostly in cycle. And I use electric vehicle. That's another part of it. I believe in sustainable energy. Wherever, I still have one petrol car, but I'm thinking when to give it off, right? But otherwise, that's the other side of me. The maximum
Got
I've gone is a 100-kilometer ride, and I really want to stretch that forward.
Wow, that's awesome. So sustainability seems to be the key thread throughout your, your life, your lifestyle, that you've extended to your personal domain as well. Do you believe in work-life balance? There's a whole debate happening around it, but do you believe in work-life balance, especially since you're in the midst of growing your enterprise and, you know, um, you're the ambassador for Stylumia. Um, and if you believe, how do you maintain it?
Yeah, see, just look at the numbers, right? If you work, let's say, even 10 hours in a day and you sleep, let's say, 7 hours in a day, uh, the awake hours are only 7 hours, right? Therefore, 10 out of 17. Therefore, you are spending much more, 60-70% of your life awake time in work, right? So, in my view, I think because work is so much of you, one needs to consider work as life. For me, I think this work life doesn't exist. It's life balance, which is to say, how do you ensure that you do that with ease, with less stress? For that, for me, a simple thing which has worked again, this is also learning through multiple companies. Each one of them had some merits. Uh, I do have some inspiration on companies which help me, also establish values, right? It is the values which give you comfort, right? You join a company, right? When will you be at comfort? You will be at comfort because your values and company's values match. If
Yes.
company is second guessing you all the time, will you be at peace? If your manager is second guessing you all the time, you will not be at peace. So I believe in what is called freedom, high level of freedom and high level of accountability. Not easy to do, let me tell you, because sometimes when you give a lot of freedom and sometimes you may not have accountability, right? So I believe in what is called no rule way of running the company, right? We have no rules. When I say no rules, we don't have leave policy. You take leave when you want, right? We don't audit when you come, when you go. We don't check how much you spend on a travel. We just approve, right? Be frugal. For there is no process, and I learned this from Netflix. For Netflix as a no rule policy. For I think if you give all of this, the company doesn't feel like a burden, right? And the second thing is you have to like what you do. For hiring the right people and putting them in the right role, giving them some path and give them a lot of freedom, right?
Yeah.
That's what I believe, that then you don't have this whole problem of work-life balance. Of
Yeah.
course, it's a continuum. We are constantly improving. Recently, we started something called, we went on an offsite and we did a yoga session. Everybody liked it. Therefore, we are now doing as a team together, a 5 to 10 minutes yoga every day morning as a part of our all hands.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the
Nice.
day starts with a small yoga time, so that there is a bit of peace, etc. But I don't know. We have crossed all the dots, but some of what we are doing.
Nice, nice. I think, I mean, just to chip in, of course, freedom, responsibility mantra of Netflix is legend now. But I think before that, I read a book by Ricardo Semler, The 7 Day Weekend, right, where he talks about the no rules policy as well. I mean, and it's amazing. They just don't interfere with employees, because he says if you're hiring adults, you treat them like adults. And I think, there was a recent Spotify campaign that also echoed the similar sentiment. So I think, kudos to you, for example, for setting the trend in terms of trusting employees. And I'm sure that you are going to get great loyalty and, from them, if not already. So amazing. Um, what's the secret to growing a large business, and especially I sit here as not just an interviewer, but as a student as well of entrepreneurship, right? I am literally on my first day, full first day of entrepreneurship in that sense. Till now, I was calling myself an umpreneur, which is an employee entrepreneur, kind of, a random word made up by me. But what is your secret to growing a large business? Tell us a little.
Yeah, see, this is a collective learning of, all the people that I worked with, thanks to them, and also a lot of reading. This is another part of me I just want to share is about, I read close to around minimum of 70 to 100 books in a year, right? In fact, the bookshelf you are seeing, it's overflowing. I have two locations where the books are there. That's one. I think constant learning. Yeah, let me just come back to, growth. I think the growth principle is about understanding the fundamental, which is compounding, right? So let's look at personally, right? Imagine if we become 1% better every day, what happens at the end of the year? It's exponential.
Yeah.
Right. So growth is always compounding, right? Therefore, point is that companies grow if you grow every day. For the starting point of that is what I called, I keep quoting Jeff Bezos, which is the day one. It's always day one. So if it's always day one mindset, it's not easy, because our experience comes in way we think this is right and this is not right. In a world which is constantly changing, the first thing which is to required is humility, which is to say, my yesterday is not as good as today. In other words, today is better than my yesterday. And if each one of us do that in the company, then the company moves forward. Company constantly learns and move forward, and that's where the growth happens. It only happens with a vision, right? Because without knowing where we are heading, right, there is no movement forward. Therefore, let's say keep a goal and a vision, and then keep improving every day, every week. Is something that always led to. I've seen leaders, right, whether the Myntra journey, etc. It's always the ambition, and even something great happened, right? You celebrate and then move on. In fact, they
Yeah.
have very high bar on celebration, right? And I've seen low leaders, right? They don't pat on the back unless there is a significant lift. Okay. So it's not patting for some trivial stuff. So keep raising the bar on what we should acknowledge, right? Of course, celebrate, but just move on, right? That's over, right? Therefore, if you don't sit on your laurels, and today the speed at which everything is going, right, and keep on learning. And books, I would say, are my best friends, and I keep on recommending to the team. More and more we read, we get better.
Excellent. Tell us one secret about Ganesh which nobody knows.
I I really, I don't know, but personally, if you ask me that, one, I would say my strength or is about holding on habits, right? Not that I am perfect again. It's about, we are our habits. Let's be very clear. We are frequently what we do, right? So building that habits, and I've gone through multiple versions of that. I have a habit tracker right now, and that habit tracker it keeps on increasing. And I have somebody to fall back on me, who is my habit checker,
Okay.
saying that is this habit happening or not. So I made somebody else accountable to. I think just believing that we are not perfect and always have that somebody else making us accountable is something,
Like
right?
a mirror. You need a mirror to tell you uh,
Yeah.
to mirror what you're doing. So you get some personal feedback.
Exactly.
Yeah. So excellent. You just attended CES in Las Vegas. I checked out one of your presentations as well. What were some of the trends that piqued your interest? Um,
Yeah, CES is a multi-category event. Typically this was my first view. I could see from food to automobile what's happening, right? Uh, while AI is a buzz right now, I think one can get inspired by what's happening in automobile. Now, why I say that is, uh, tell me which technology you give your life. That's the only technology where you give your life, and maybe medicine, right? Imagine that you get into a Waymo car. What are you doing? You're giving your life to a software. Waymo
hmm,
car is not a car, it's a software on the road, right? If something happens. Now, if technology can take care of life safely under varying circumstances on the road, right? And that's where we can be, right? Because office automation, improve in something, which are all in the computer is very different. When you put real life there, I think it's a big thing. For lots happening in automobile right now. And the thing that, of course, I heard Jensen of NVIDIA on, what his vision is for that. NVIDIA is bringing everything to have enterprise scale computation to maybe a laptop or a mobile, right? So that's the level of acceleration which is happening. I'll give you a few instances on, what are the big themes which are emerging, right? Big themes purely from retail, or you can look at it from a holistic perspective. One is how do we help consumers shop better? That's one area, which is consumer facing technology. The second bucket is how can we help consumers shop in my stores better, which is assisting customers kind of a technology. And the third one is how can we help people work better for, in their improving their productivity, which is all inputs into, right? These are three buckets where all the revolution is, whatever improvements are happening. Now, the new buzzword there is creating digital twins, right? Can we create digital twin of, imagine that you and me could be created in the AI world as AI agents,
correct.
right? For maybe, it is Sheldon equivalent or Sundar Pichai equivalent or Ganesh equivalent. Today, agents can be done. Therefore, AI agents is big. That is going to revolutionize. It's early stages right now. Agents are going to perceive the environment. They are also going to take action on the environment. Uh, for AI agents will start as AI interns and it'll become AI colleagues. In a matter of time, maybe AI supervisors, right? Or managers, right? For right now, it's in the intern stage, slowly becoming colleague in many areas. But we are going to have lots of AI colleagues in the future, right? For that's one area happening. And the other one is physical AI. So far, AI has been in computers. Now it's coming in the real world. I'll give you an example where today, for example, you're in a large shop, right? And you are in one of the aisles getting stuck. Today, what will we do in a shop? We'll look around for a nearest salesperson, right? Or a store person and then say, can you help me? Now, what is happening? And the next evolution of that was if I'm stuck in developed markets, you used to have a button call the person, right? You go and button. Therefore, even then you are stuck. You turn and say, where is the nearest button and go and press. The latest is right now, the cameras in the store are actually figuring out whether you are stuck.
Man.
Whether you are figuring out whether you are stuck, which is proactive, and then automatically sending a real-time signal to the nearest store associate with a handheld device. So when you think you need help, somebody is already there. So I call this pro action. And this is live demonstrated in CS.
Amazing. Amazing.
Okay.
A
Live.
bit creepy, but amazing.
Yeah. But just look at that, right? The theme
Yeah.
here is pro action.
Yes. Yes.
The
Yes.
whole world using technology is moving to predictive solving
Technology. Yes. Yeah.
than
Yeah.
reactive solving. That's what is happening. And similar to that, it's happening across all stages, all places where you can simulate a store sitting in your computer today. What would happen, right? Whether it is simulating a store or simulating weather situations across the world, then you're creating digital twin of the world, right? For all of that is possible today because of what's happening. I think we're in early stages where the question is, but we need to be responsible on how we use them. So there
Yes.
are both
Yeah.
sides to it. I'm sure, we may not have enough time today to discuss the other side of it, but I'm talking
Yes.
about all the positives. But I
Yes.
think, it's like having a knife, right? You can do many things with knife.
Correct. Correct. You can cook or you can kill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, true, true. In fact, I wanted to, which is a great way to segue into, you wrote a recent post on LinkedIn about, AI for or DeepSeek for dummies, right? In terms of just then for non-technical people to understand what's really happening, the latest revolution in the AI world. So, could you elaborate a little bit about that for our, listeners? Uh,
Yeah, simple, right? And I think what they have done is there is a concept called reinforcement learning. So there are two types of learning, right? I tell the machine, give lots of examples and make it learn, right? The other way is that it learns on its own. What they have done is they have used all the data to learn on its own, right? Now, when you learn on its own, you don't need training. Now, when you need training, you need lots of resources, people, etc., etc. And they have mastered reinforcement learning. It's called self-learning, right? Now, if I have to educate you with a coach, you need a coach. Coach needs money, right? And you need to have availability, all of that. That's why it's an expensive way of coaching. Imagine if you learn on your own and you can learn at scale, right? That's what DeepSeek has done. For while they have done 3, 4, 5 practices, but the key one is reinforcement learning. I call the self-learning. And in other words, that you don't need to be investing so much like what others have done. Take the base of what others have done. They've used what Meta has developed as Llama model, and in the Llama model, they've done this fine tuning, right? Which is what has created that.
Shaken up a lot of people.
No, no, absolutely. And this is again the tip of the. I think it's a lot's happening there, and there are lots of points of view whether it actually was real, whether they had access to NVIDIA, etc. We don't know the exact truth, but I'm going to believe that what has happened is true, and based on that, I think the self-learning was a key shift.
Yep. Yep. So before we wind up, wanted to ask you for your best advice to somebody considering entrepreneurship, right? What is your philosophy based on your own experience? What is your best advice to them?
Yeah, I typically say this, right, which is, 3 circles, a Venn diagram, uh, what you're good at, what you're passionate about, for what there is a good market of. Do anything at this intersection, right? Imagine, let us say I'm very passionate about travel and I'm not good at travel. Will that work? It'll become an expensive hobby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just look at in these 3 dimensions, right? And take some point of view. Sometimes we normally overestimate what the market is. That is why neutrality helps. Therefore, when we are passionate, we start to exaggerate the opportunities in the market. And suddenly you go there, it's pretty small. And I've seen even big people make this mistake, right? And I know one of my colleagues who initially thought that market was very big. After millions of dollars of funding, after running that company, realized that the market was not as big as they thought that it will be, right? For just validating at that point, saying that in each one of these, right? And even our own passion, we are not sometimes very sure of. You have to really see whether that's your passion or it's a surface interest. Okay,
Right.
so it's a
Right.
fad or it's a real passion. For you look at anything in this intersection of these three, and other thing I would say is whenever something doesn't work and you don't see a future indication, don't fear to pivot. So, in other words, don't get too much attached to an idea, right? At some point of time, you don't see the path forward, drop it and move on to something else. At the same time, when there is huge difficulty in something, but there is a good future you are seeing, don't drop. It is, I would suggest people should read this book called Dip. There's a book the book is called Dip, and the dip exactly is this, right? When you're deep down in trouble, but the future is bright and many people give it away, right? And that's why many startups, right? Most of the startups don't last beyond 5 years.
Mm.
So do not give it up. It is that, but the persistence has to be in the right place. You should not persist when there is no future is bright. Therefore, that is called quit. You need to quit at times. You need to also persist at times. For I wouldn't always recommend that persistence is a great solution. Persistence in the right time, in the right place is good, but you should also quit. For it's a good balance between quitting and persisting.
Very nicely put. Thank you so much. Very important question before we reveal our surprise for you. What do you like to have with your chai?
Good question. Kakra is one of my favorites. Today I don't have it here, but kakra is
Okay.
one of my favorites.
Akra. Okay, excellent. So thank you so much, Ganesh. Before we let you go, we're just going to play you a little something that we created for you, especially, and the Stylumia team.
Ganesh had a dream, yeah, he saw the light. Said fashion's a mess, gotta make it right. Built a team that's sharper than a tailor's knife. Now AI's the boss, no guesswork, just life. From spreadsheets to space-age plans, we see the trends before they land. No more hope this sells, oops. We got data squads and brainy troops. Oh, we crunch the numbers, stitch the code. No more piles of clothes unsold. Ganesh says trust the team, not luck. Stylumia's here fasten up. From India out to NYC, we turn wild guesses into strategy. Data's king, but teamwork's gold. We build the future, no stories old. No more oops, we made too much. No more oh no, that's out of touch. Stylumia squad is built to last. AI powered and thinking fast. Oh, we crunch the numbers, stitch the code. No more piles of clothes unsold. Ganesh says trust the team, not luck. Stylumia's here fast enough.
Stylumia, and to you. And thank you so much for your time, Ganesh. It was well worth the wait. And, want to thank your team for coordinating as well. And wish you all the love and luck. You may you scale greater heights, and may we meet, of course, sometime in person in the future, not in the AI universe, but in reality. And look forward to collaborating with you guys going forward. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing a chai with me. Cheers. Chais.
Yes.
Chais.
Hey,
Have a
thank you
nice
so much. Thank you so much, and wish you well for and also Random Genius. I really appreciate that you're bringing lots of at least points of view to budding entrepreneurs. And and if there are any question, I'm more than available on social media for answering any of those. Thank you so
Awesome. Thank you so much. Take
much.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, we crunch the numbers, stitch the code. No more piles of clothes unsold. Ganesh says trust the team, not luck. Stylumia's here fast enough.